This segment sponsored by Viking Psychiatry. Welcome back to Mental Health Matters with Viking Psychiatry, and today we're going to be discussing navigating mental health with economic stress, something that we all experience. And here to discuss it today is owner Sean Goddard. Hi, Sean.
Hi, how we doing?
Welcome. Okay, so this is a great topic. Right now, there's some crazy stuff kind of going on in the world. I don't know if you noticed.
No.
And so, there's a lot of uncertainty. I think that economic stress is building right now. So I think it's so important to discuss how we can stay mentally sound during this time. And so first and foremost, why is it that economic stress can really play an impact in someone's mental health?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we live in a society nowadays where it's hard to survive even on your own, right? Most families, they have to be a two-income family, have to be working, and with that, if you have kids, there comes the responsibility of daycare and the expenses that go on with that. I mean, it's just mounting, and it continues to mount. And so, and there's not a lot of forgiveness built into our world nowadays if you're struggling financially, right? It's not like if you suddenly can't make your rent payment or your house payment that there are necessarily as many programs or leeway that's provided out there. It's business, right? And so people are being evicted much quicker, struggling with housing. There's a shortage of housing as we see across the board. So there's just so much that goes along with that. The groceries being more expensive, all of those things. So it just creates more stress, right? And more anxiety, more depression, and more burden on us on a daily basis that carries through in the way we feel, the way we eat. It can have a significant impact overall.
Right, and really feeling inspired to be productive in the day. It really can take a toll. I mean, you talked about groceries. I mean, gas is fluctuating and housing is just getting more and more expensive. And I always say it's so funny. The thing about inflation, I feel like everything inflates around us except our paychecks. It's like paychecks didn't get the memo. We all going up.
That's
So
right.
it's like we make the same and have to pay more and more and more and more out. So Sean, as we talk about how stress is impacted by economic conditions, what about warning signs? How can people really tell themselves or through other people if they are going through a hard time?
Yeah, and sometimes it can be a little bit hard to recognize what is related to economic stress versus mental health concerns that have been there. But if we see individuals who are having increased anxiety, decreased mood levels, avoiding social activities, especially when those activities come with an associated cost, right? And sometimes being invited to those and being said, oh, do you want to come do this? And no, I don't want to do it, and having to make up excuse on why you don't want to do it because you don't want to tell the individual that you can't afford to go do it, right? So avoiding social activities. We often, regretfully, see increase in substance use when economic struggles happen, right? Because sometimes we just want to forget, right? And so we tend to try to forget by using substances, whether that be marijuana, alcohol, or more illegal type substances. We do see an increase in those type of activities, which you would think doesn't make sense because they cost money, right? And we're struggling financially. But it's also, if you think about it, when we're struggling to lose weight and we're feeling bad about not being able to lose weight, and then we go eat a pint of ice cream because we feel bad about not being able to lose weight. It doesn't make sense, right? Sometimes we just make poor decisions when we're struggling, and so you have to look for some of those signs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about the balance in it all because, listen, we talked about some stuff that's expensive, but going outside is also expensive. Being out at restaurants and at events and stuff, that all costs. So it's like people can make a decision to balance, what they spend their money towards, and it's okay. Sometimes people get that guilt thing happening or experiencing FOMO, as we like to say, but making those decisions that's best for them. And speaking of, how do you recommend people really manage economic stress?
You know, one of the things that I want to highlight is it's not just us individually. The state of Indiana, last year it's estimated that we spent $4 billion on untreated mental health issues, right?
Wow.
So because those mental health issues weren't treated, it costs us an additional $4 billion in care. We struggle as a state, every single county has a shortage in mental health providers. So, and we struggle to fund mental health care in the state of Indiana. So, number one, understand that even though you're struggling, you're not alone, right? Being able to address your finances, we're struggling as a country right now. And so I think one of the best things that we can do is go back to the basics and look at your financial plan and making priorities when it comes to your financial plan. It's great to have Netflix, but you also need Disney and Hulu and Amazon and all those different things on top of it, right?
So many platforms.
There's an app out there, and forgive me, I can't think of the name of the app right now, but you can link it to your bank account, and it will help look for subscription charges that I just did it this weekend myself, looking through some of my stuff, and I'm like, oh, I forgot I was getting charged every month for that, right? So looking at that financial plan, getting rid of the things that aren't needed, but also looking for services that are available to you to assist. You know, for example, when it comes to medications, there are multiple manufacturers that prescribe medications that I prescribe that have assistance programs to reduce the burden of the cost of medication. But a lot of people don't apply for the programs because, one, they don't know, they don't look, and even when they do, they think, oh, I'm not going to be eligible, right? I potentially make too much money. And I can't tell you how many clients that I've helped submit those applications that get approved, right? And I have clients that get 90 days worth of medication mailed to them every 90 days at no cost to them whatsoever. And that's saved them a significant amount of money.
Yeah, and we talked before when we spoke on the subject of depression and anxiety, we talked, Sean, about normalizing, normalizing that feeling because so many people are going through it. And I say that we should normalize, the fluctuation of financials, of economic impact, and be more understanding of that in each other's lives. And it's not something to be ashamed of if you're just trying to balance your own budget in a way that works best for you. So I think that should be, I think that people should be able to say, like, oh, I don't have it this month, or, let me skip on that for that reason without feeling shame, Yeah,
as a world, we're struggling financially, as a country, as a state, as individuals, right? Businesses are struggling nowadays to survive. It is not an uncommon factor to struggle, regretfully. And so understanding that, and even though it's stressful and it puts you in a tight situation, understanding that you're not alone. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, right? You're just in a tight spot at that time, and you have to think positive, think forward, address the situation in that day, take it one step at a time. And if there's somebody out there that judges you for your inability to be able to, go pay to have some drinks with them, then maybe that's somebody you shouldn't be hanging out with anyways, right? Because it's great to want to be the Joneses and want all these nice things, but I think it's better to have a strong financial basis and making sure you're taking care of you, your family, the people around you. Those are the most important things in life, and so don't let it cause you to self-doubt, self-judge, those types of things. Yeah,
because being fiscally responsible is an important thing, and adding money to savings account is just being responsible. And so last thing, Sean, speaking of that, community. Okay, let's talk about that in connection to perhaps where you work, people around you, like you said. How can they best support maybe a coworker or an employee during this time of just the world just being up and down right now?
Yeah, I think, sometimes it's recognizing. You can often see or pick up when people are struggling, especially financially. And so sometimes it's, just offering to pick up a lunch if you see that everybody else is eating and they're not, right? You don't have to dig into it. You can just provide a lunch. It's, For example, we have employees that we write off balances for them, right? Or we know somebody's vehicle broke down and that they're struggling to get that repair taken care of, and so we shuffle things around and find a way to do that. And sometimes it's just providing a voice and a hand and saying, "I'm here. If you're struggling, and what can I do to help?" But there are many different nonprofits that are available out there when it comes to mental health. If people want to be able to donate, to be able to help support those services, it's definitely a time nonprofits nowadays are struggling even more to get the monies that they need to be able to provide the services that they do provide. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
It's all about kindness, right?
That's right.
Just showing kindness for each other. And if you would like more information about Viking Psychiatry, we'll have their website listed below. You can contact them for a consultation, and I look forward to seeing you after the break.
This segment sponsored by Viking Psychiatry.